Hey, what is going on, crypto people? Listen, quick money win you can use this month. Due date keeps you current. The day after closing keeps your interest low. If you ever thrown an extra five, haven't we all done this? If you ever thrown an extra five, 10, or 50 bucks on the due date, an extra five, 10, or 50 bucks on the due date and felt like nothing changed tonight, you'll see why. And what you can do instead. We're going to get into it. Plus, we got some FXRP, some Flare updates for you. Interesting spaces today for my guy Hugo Filion. We're going to get into that as well. That was really interesting spaces for sure. Appreciate you guys checking in. Again, happy freaking Generational Wealth Wednesday to each and every one of you. What an exciting time. I'm just telling you. It's just a crazy time to be alive for sure. Did you guys catch that spaces today? If you did you catch the X Spaces today with Hugo? Listen, for the people new to the Generational Wealth Wednesday channel, what we do here is the channel is primarily 5 to 6 days out of the week. We talk crypto, we talk DeFi, we talk Flare DeFi, we talk XRP, the XRPL, we talk crypto in general. And on Wednesdays, we're going back to our Generational Wealth Wednesdays that we do, where we talk credit and debt, how to get rid of the interest, how to tackle and flip these tools that have been leveraged against you, how to flip it back onto the bank, right? And in your favor, using the money max account. We talk infinite banking concept, right? Taking advantage of dividend paying whole life cash policies, and we talk DeFi. We talk DeFi on Generational Wealth Wednesdays as well. So those three things, sometimes like tonight, we're going to cover a couple of things, right? So we'll do two things today. Sometimes we do all three. So just so you know, like, look, if you're here just for the debt and credit, get rid of your debt, get rid of that interest. You're interested in that technology, cool. First 10, 15 minutes, we'll talk that. If you're not doing crypto or DeFi, cool, understand. No worries. But most of the people I think on the channel relate to all three things that we talk about. So we're going to get into that as well. What's going on, Nicholas? How are you, bro? Appreciate you checking in. Interesting time. I can't wait to talk that Flare FXRP um, stuff tonight because it was interesting to say the least. It was very interesting X Spaces for sure. I'm just telling you, it was crazy. And I missed the first 10 minutes if I feel like it. So we'll get to listen to that together, right? So listen, I'm going to set the stage a little bit, right? How interest is really built is important. So credit cards don't build interest on your month end balance. They bill on your average daily balance. It's important. Remember that the lack of education or miseducation is one of the biggest reasons why we are the largest debtor nation in the history of debt. Let me say that again. We are the largest debtor nation in the history of the advent of debt. U.S. is, right? And a lot of it is because of the lack of education or misinformation. Credit cards don't bill interest on your month end balance. They bill you on your average daily balance, the average of what you owed each day of the cycle. Lower that average and you lower the interest, even if your total payment dollars don't change. Important, right? It's very important. Average daily balance is essentially balance times the amount of days plus balanced times days divided by the days in a cycle. Hopefully, I'll share the formula with you later in the show. Maybe I'll do that. So our job isn't just pay more. Again, another misleading thing. Our job isn't paying more. It's pay smarter. So you drop the extra 5, 10, 50, 100 bucks or more if you got it. You drop that when it creates the most low balance days in the cycle. And they're not going to tell you about that. The credit card companies and the banks are not going to tell you about that. Right? They're just not going to do it. Let me see. I want to share something here real quick. Last time I messed my share up. I don't know what happened, Nicholas. My share thing was just not great. But I think if I do this, I'm going to hit, I'm going to share the sound now so I don't forget later. And I want to go over a couple of things here. So just so you can have an example of how this thing kind of works. This is on a $10,000 credit card balance, just an example, right? Due date does not equal the best date. Making a $2,000 payment, different timing equals very, very different interest, right? Right. When you pay on the due date, this is the interest, $238.36 on a $10,000 balance. You pay on the best date, which is the day after the closing date, you pay $197.26. That's the payment. You save $41.10. Massively important. Scenario A, paying the due date. Average balance $9,666. Again, monthly interest $230.36. Scenario B, pay a day after the close day, day one after the close day. Your average daily balance is $8,000. Monthly interest is $197.26, saving yourself $41.10 in interest. So hugely important to understand the differences. What's going on, brother Crypto? How are you, my friend? Appreciate you checking in on Generational Wealth Wednesday, showing people we're laying out some things how the due date does not equal the best date. Right? Nicholas Zim said, not bad, chilling, watching the charts. I hear you, my guy. I hear you watching the charts. I hear that, my friend. We're getting close. Our resolve is being tested for those of us in the digital asset space, but we are. We're getting close, my friend. So that's just an example to kind of give you an idea of how it works. It's really, really important. So the due date does not equal the best date, right? It's the close and then you crush. So I got a little thing for you here. And I'm just doing this as a litmus test. How many of you guys know your closing date for your one credit card, two credit cards, whatever you got? How many of you guys know the closing date? Just let me, if you know your closing date, type close in the chat. If you know your closing date, right? That'll be a good litmus test for me as well. That'll help me maybe even do some more content around it, why it's so important. So do me a favor. If you're watching this on replay, you can do the same thing in the comments. If you know your closing date of your credit cards, type close in the chat. So here's another thing, a little misinformation thing, right? This is for me, I call it the myth. Tiny extras on the due date. Right? You ever heard people say that? They've had a little extra on a due date just so they can. I almost grew up hearing that. Right? Here's the myth. I'll toss an extra $10 on the due date and beat interest. It helps, but it's the least effective timing. It's the least effective timing. And the timing when you do it is important. Right? It's really, really important. The rule of thumb. The rule of thumb. The extra interest you burn by waiting is about payment times the days you waited times the APR divided by 365 days. If you wait 25 days at 30% APR, that's 2.05% of your payment lost to timing. So a $2,000 payment on the due date versus the day after close burns about $41 in avoidable interest this month. You repeat that 12 times and it's real money. So I can give you a tiny extra example. An extra $10 on day 25 barely moves the average. It's pennies saved. If you can only do small extras, do them early in the cycle, not on the due date, right? It's hugely important, right? So if you got the extra, some people have, an extra $1,000. Some people only got an extra 10, 20, $50 to make on a payment because they got 5, 6, and 7 cards. That they have to pay, right? The minimum payments on, right? So don't pay late, pay smart, right? So the big drop or whatever you can afford, the day after the statement closes. Hugely, hugely important, right? So give you kind of like a two-step routine that you can actually do, right? You can do an auto pay for the minimum by the due date. This helps with avoiding late fees, right? You don't want that. I'm not going to say the C word there. You know, that little hoodwink thing that they put in to keep you focused on the big C word when it comes to C word cards. They want you to focus on the C word score. All right. So auto pay minimum for the due date. Schedule your extra or big principal payment the day after the statement closes. If you can, avoid new purchases on the card. If you're revolving, keep the balance low all month so the average stays low. If you love extras, put them in early in the cycle. Don't wait for the due date. Pro tip: most issuers will change your closing date if you ask. I just discovered that. Most issuers will change your closing date if you ask. You can line it up 1 to 3 days after payday, so you always have cash for that quote unquote big job, extra money, etc. Right? So very, very interesting. Now, if you're currently doing something like velocity banking, this timing is the engine, right? That's one of the reasons why it works. Dump right after the close, run your month, and then you repeat. Right? Really, really important. So I was going to do like a live Q&A, but I'm going to just kind of cover some stuff that I've been getting in and discussions. I'm going to share a couple here and I'll share a few more later. So will paying day after close make me late? No, because you still auto pay the minimum by the due date, right? The day after close payment is the interest saver. It's not the payment replacement, right? What if I pay in full? Then timing matters less if you're paying it off all, right? You'll keep your grace period by paying in full by the due date. This segment is for anyone who's carrying like a revolving balance. And again, I'm trying to I'm trying to address what I see as like the masses. The most people, very, very few people get a $10,000 balance and pay $10,000 off when it's due, right? So let me see what another thing I want to share real quick. A quick call to action again, in case you missed it, is find your, if you don't know it, if you didn't drop it in the chat, find one, right? You can go on your app real quick, find one, find your statement closing date for one of your cards, and then set a reminder, right? Set a reminder that if you got some extra cash flow or whatever, you could send that in the day after the close date, and that will attack that interest big time for that cycle, right? Right. So stop doing the extras on the due date. I know we love to do it, right? I grew up hearing that, I'm paying an extra $10, I'm paying an extra $25 on my due date. Right. So stop tossing the extras on the due date, pay them early in the cycle, which is the day after the close date, one day after, right? Here's the deal. This is what I say, which is one of the things that we love. If you want this timing automated, the Money Max account reads your actual dates and auto schedules the post close drops for each card, right? Hugely, hugely important. Miss Crypto sees absolutely loves it, right? So do me a favor, type timing in the chat, and uh, if that's makes sense to you, having it automated. Again, for me, the technology behind it is everything, right? UI, UX, technology. I don't want to be the I don't want to be the spreadsheet person who's got the calculator attached to the spreadsheet. Right. First of all, you got to build something like that. I don't know how to build something like that. Right. So I don't want to be the spreadsheet person with the calculators attached to the spreadsheet. Right. So if that's you, you can type Money Max in the account as well. Right. If you don't want to be that person, if you can relate to that, not wanting to be the person who's got the spreadsheets, the calculator, you know, I just can't do it. It's not me. It's not me for sure. So, what I would tell you guys for sure is I would recommend that you get your free personal assessment from the MoneyMax account, guys and gals. Um, it's an eye opener. I know people, man, people don't want to, right? One of the things, like, we don't want to, yeah, we're like, if we don't look at it, right? If we don't look at it, we don't know, right? You know, right? If we don't look at it, we just, here's the money. We're not going to really look into the heart of all the expenses that are coming in and going out, right? I know. It's difficult to take a look at it. I get it, but it's important to know, right? It's really, really important to know. So, let me do this. Let me find where is that in the stream? Okay, I'll do that. In the live stream here, let me do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's go here. Where is it? Right here. All right, so here's the live stream currently, and I don't put it in the beginning of the description, but here's a link here, right here. Debt and interest limited technology. Click here to learn more. There's a link right here for me, Money Max, right? I partner with them because we like the technology so much after we met with the corporate staff. Um, there's a link there, and it's going to take you to here, right? You'll get this 2 billion debt eliminated counting. See what others have to say. It's awesome. And then you can register for the Tuesday thing, right? We do something every Tuesday. It's live. You can get questions answered. Just put your name and number, email, phone number. I get that. And you can hop on that event, and that'll give you an opportunity to schedule your personal free personal assessment of your particular situation, because everyone is different, and I like that. And they're going to give you some really, really good stuff there. You're going to kind of get an idea of where you are. But Tuesday, did I share the time? Yeah, it's 7 p.m. Central Time. Yep, 7 p.m. Central. But yeah, fill out an information if you would, and get that stuff done. Get that personal assessment. Get some education as well. They do a lot of teaching on the difference between a loan and a personal line of credit, the difference between a loan and a home equity line of credit, how your average daily balance is calculated, things like that. Right. So it's really, really good. There's generally on the Tuesday thing, it's about 40 minutes, right? 40, 45 minutes. Um, I'll be on there on Tuesday um, as well. So you can check it out for sure. So let me do this. Yeah, really like it. Really like the guys over there. I met Bill for the first time, but I met the corporate people uh, before that. So, right. So listen, that's the money hygiene for this week. Due date does not equal the best date. So now let's switch gears a little bit. And Flair held the spaces today. I don't know if you know about that. They held a nice spaces with Hugo, Thanos, Quantic, I think, guess was hosting. It was really, really good. And some um couple eye openers. We're going to go over that together, right? So we'll listen in and unpack some of the key takeaways from that for sure. That package for me? Awesome. All right. So let me find that spaces, guys. Let me find that. Let me get into that for sure. Mickey B. Fresh. I tell you, Mickey B. Fresh got back to me, right? We're gonna be doing a couple of things together. Where is it? Let me find it first before I share the screen. What the flippity flop? Okay, here it is right here. All right, there it is. Let's share it real quick. Let me welcome some people to the stream. If some more people popped on. Rachel W, what's going on? Rachel, how are you? Yosef is in the building. What's up, bro? George Madison. What's going on, George Madison? Oh, oh, you knew your closing date. Psh, good for you, bro. Good for you. I hope that little tidbit was good for you. Congrats, man. Most people don't know. They don't know their closing dates. Good for you. Hope that strategy is something that you would want to consider and ponder. All right, so I'm gonna do this. Hit share. Let's do this. Yeah, I hear you, bro. Yosef says just hanging in there. I'm telling you, this crypto wave, it's been something. This cycle has been something. All right, where do I want to go? Here. Let's do that. Firelight says with Flare Networks implementing mini caps for a deliberate and gradual rollout of XRP, a broader XRP Fi ecosystem is taking shape with Firelight leading the charge. All right, so let's listen to this recording together. Again, I missed the first 10 minutes, so we'll get a chance to hang out for a bit. You see, man, I was making a lot of comments in here. My guy, Iman, was on. That new wallet integration I thought was massive. Again, I missed the first 10 minutes.
Some hood music would be nice. Oh yeah, now we're talking. Come on, we just minted out XRP, or we just minted out FXRP like 3 weeks in a row. We should be listening to some hype music here.
Somebody's got Dre playing. That's funny.
Cover your kids' ears.
So, I guess that while we wait a few more minutes until the space gets filled, we can start maybe with providing some context about this space. We are here to talk about F assets, of course, and in particular FXRP, how things are doing, why we choose this strategy, what we expect to happen next, and I'm super excited to have here Hugo and Thanos or Drew. I hope I'm not doxing you with that, but I think we're going to have some very, very fun times today. And for the people in our audience, we might have some questions at the end. It all depends on the time that we get. Um, so I already pre-selected some from previous ones that I have and that I've seen before. But in any case, make sure to post your questions and I will ask them at the end if time allows that. So, are we ready to start? What do people think?
Let's do it.
Awesome. Okay, so welcome everyone. We are going to have some nice moment today connecting with the community and talking about everything related to FXRP and what's coming up next. So I think that the best way to start is talking about the strategy that Fleur choose to do this rollout, right? So maybe we can start with Hugo sharing his vision on the reasoning behind this cap rollup strategy for FXRP. People have asked about why starting with a limited mint and scale gradually. I think you have replied to this before, but I think that this is the best way to get started to provide some broader context.
Yeah, absolutely. Firstly, it's just the responsible thing to do from a security perspective. We want to build out in the most disciplined way that we can. I don't have a 1 hour vision for this. This isn't a network that I want to expand at a fast pace and then like just leave behind. This is a 5-year plan here. So if you believe in something, you do it in the most sensible, disciplined, and pragmatic way you can. So that's why we have caps, and that's how we as a team approach things in a disciplined and sensible way. So that's the core reason. The sort of second reason is we want the DeFi ecosystem to grow at a sensible pace. We don't want there to be huge asset imbalances. So we want we couldn't. There's nothing you could do with 1 billion XRP in the DeFi ecosystem today. People would need to bring more USDT, more other assets in order to grow that ecosystem. So you can see week by week as we raise the caps, the TVL is increasing. The TVL in all the tokens that are the core tokens like USDT and wrap flare markets and FXRP markets, those are growing together. If we suddenly had 1 billion XRP on the chain, there wouldn't be enough USDT on the chain immediately to be able to use it. So markets take time to grow. They need nurturing. It would be illogical for us to just release the cap and let it just go.
I think it makes sense, and I think that some people miss that part. And I'm glad to hear this directly from you in such a clear way, security first, but also building the DeFi ecosystem alongside this, right? That's crucial. And for me, I have to say it has been very fun experience to actually mint in different time zones. And each time I meet a few lots just to test things and to have fun. And I'm pretty sure that some people in the community they are doing exactly the same. So maybe let's talk a little bit more about the most interesting learning from this experience, right? And I'm pretty sure that here we have perhaps complementary opinions from Hugo and Drew. So let's hear about that.
I'll let Drew go first.
Yeah, for sure. I've thought about these caps a bit, and I think what's
Uh-oh. What happened?
been interesting is that it's been interesting is that it's been almost all exclusively retail driven. Like we have not started speaking to our institutions about getting onboarded and minted just yet. So all 15 million of the FXRP so far has been retail. And surprisingly, you're seeing a decent penetration into our DeFi protocols. I think about 20 million $20 million of XRP has gone into Kinetic, and it's prepared to be borrowed against USDT zero, which is currently the main stable on Flare. And so it's been good to see retail really lead the charge here and get things started. And I think that's been refreshing to see. And I think caps have actually allowed that to happen because the institutions haven't come in and diluted specific pools or incentives just yet. So as we're getting things ramped up here, having retail lead the charge has been pretty refreshing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm thinking about the challenges as well, right? Because I don't know if there is any other project in history that has done this kind of deployment in the sense of, okay, we're bringing non-smart contract assets like XRP into a fully decentralized DeFi environment, right? So the question would be now, what are kind of the main challenges that you have seen so far, or that you are seeing could take place in the near future?
I mean, I think the biggest challenge is just making the abstracting away the complexities of bridging F assets. We know that people that use Zaman wallet, and we know that there's a very large amount of XRP held at Zaman wallet. We know that that currently is effectively incompatible with the F asset system. And we're working very hard with Zaman to make sure that we can integrate with it. There'll be an initial rollout of that quite soon. It'll still be a bit clunky, and then towards hopefully December, November, late November, December, there'll be a truly seamless experience with Zaman. So like, just getting people who have not used EVM wallets, to be able to participate is key. It's a big learning for us. I think I expected more people to be, happy to switch their wallets, but actually, we have to go to where the users are rather than where we would like them to be.
So that's a really, really, really great point there. Really, really great point. But I did find it interesting, um, the numbers that Thanos mentioned. I found that to be very, very interesting. I mean, first of all 15 million essentially is retail. All 15 million minted is retail. That's big. 60% of that is going into Kinetic, which is Kinetic, Kinetic .market, which is essentially a money market, right? Lend and borrow money market platform. 60%, right? Never, let us not forget about the poll. Flare did a poll and asked what are people doing with the FXRP. The biggest number was Kinetic. Uh, the second biggest number was Kinetic. The biggest number was wait for Firelight, stXRP, right? And then third was LPing on SparkDex, right? So the poll kind of played out the way it's going right now. But think about it, 60% is going on Kinetic. That's interesting to me. 60% minted. So that's actually different than the poll. 60% going Kinetic. And I'll never forget the conversation that I had. Jungle Inc. Was put in contact with the builder. Somebody was building something, DeFi, on the XRPL. And Jungle said that he should reach out to me if you want to talk DeFi, reach out to the Crypto Seed. So he did end up reaching out to me. We had a kind of good 45-minute to an hour conversation. This guy is a early days Ripple employee, former Ripple employee, right? So he was early days at Ripple. I forget how many years he was there, 5, 6, 7 years. I forget how many, but early days Ripple. And so we were talking, and at the end of it, because I kept getting from him that it felt like he was wanting to build, you know, more kind of intermediary driven type of product, right? Would be one or two intermediaries, two or three intermediaries. That's what it kind of felt like to me. And I just at the end I told him, look, if you want to try to do something, there's a big drive or appetite for lend and borrow. People will be able to lend their XRP, right? And this is proving out here with Flare, right? We get 60% of that FXRP minted is actually going to Kinetic. That is a massive number. That's a massive, massive number. So lending is different than staking, but in the end, people are wanting to, kind of get some interest or yield, if you will, on their XRP. We always caution, don't chase the game. If you got 1,000 XRP, you don't want to be lending 1,000, all 1,000 XRP on anywhere. right? You want to start small and don't chase the game. You always want to have the most amount in self custody. You take a small amount to do DeFi, right? Then you take a small amount of the amount that you want to do on DeFi, and perhaps you go Kinetic, or perhaps you go SparkDex, or perhaps you go FlameX, right? So you don't want to chase the game. Let the game come to you. So I thought that was very, very interesting. And by the way, the Xamin Smart Account thing that they're working on is called a Smart Account, and it's going to allow people who have their XRP on the Xamin wallet, which is 4 billion XRP, roughly 4 billion, um, which is crazy. Those people with their XRP there uh, will be able to, do the Flare stuff directly from their Xamin wallet, right? So directly from the XRPL, and they're using some technology, working with Vitze Wen and the team over there. It's called a Smart Account. So that's going to be a big deal, big deal. Now I missed this part early on, so they're going to kind of put out an initial version of this here shortly, and then like the final version will be in December. That's going to be a big deal for people because people just that's going to be a big deal. Like Hugo said, he thought more people would want to use other wallets, like for example the Luminite wallet, which is um, awesome wallet, right? Um, because it has the Google. You can create your wallet, using Google or using Apple, and you can do, the key, what is it called? The key phrase. Um, right, you could do the key smart keys like Yubico or whatever, right, to set up an account also, which I thought was awesome. So, but he's saying, look, you got to go to where the people are, where the XRP is. The XRP is in wallets like Xamin. So let's work together, to abstract away complexities, and that's what that smart account essentially is, right? Key pass and pass keys, yeah, pass keys. I think what they are. You're right. So, and that's awesome. All right, let's continue listening. That was smart that Hugo said that, and then that they're doing that. Go to where the people are.
I agree with that as well. Dhruv, do you have anything that from your perspective is kind of a challenge?
Yeah, I think that as a challenge, definitely is. I think what we're thinking about the most is how do you meet the user where they are and make the experience as seamless as possible. And we've already been working on this even before the launch of Facets, something called XRPL Smart Accounts, which essentially enables like a user on Zaman to just click deposit or withdraw and seamlessly earn DeFi yields on Flare. And it's net beneficial for both chains. It drives usage on the XRPL, because we need to send and receive messages. And it also can really bolster TVL on Flare. So I think that's going to be our biggest hurdle next is getting to all of the venues that are needed where there is only XRPL support. Um, and and I think like the step after that is like you build a robust ecosystem beneath it where you can get these institutions to really start putting on positions, and have liquidity in the right places to be able to do that, and then also introducing new dApps, as as we continue to mature here. Some of you may have seen, we recently, or we're in the works of getting Spectra on Flare, a yield trading app, which will be a core piece of trading your XRP yield. Um, and I think what I really like about
Is the stream messing up? Is it just me? I feel like the stream's messing up. That Spectra is going to be interesting.
what Spectra is going to bring to the table is that to some institutions want a fixed yield on our XRP. We don't want a fixed yield on our XRP. We don't want a variable yield, which a lot of the times when you're depositing in DeFi, there's this variable yield, and people like earning a fixed yield on their deposits. So what Spectra allows for is the split of a PT and a YT, which allows for people to get a fixed yield on their XRP. So Spectra will play a decently large role in terms of allowing people to get fixed yield, and then also using that PT within lending protocols. And so I'm very excited to get them on. Um, and I think really just the hardest part is catering to every institution's needs of what they're looking to do with their XRP, and figuring out where in where in our ecosystem we can kind of puzzle them in. I think about Flare as the ecosystem that's building the most robust DeFi for XRP. And a part of that is onboarding numerous different types of dApps, and working with institutions to figure out where they can slot in.
And of course, users are welcome to, play with all the dApps and play with Spectra, the yield market that will be coming to Flare. But we are also going to be having on-chain vaults that run, both on-chain, some exclusively on-chain strategies, and some on-chain and off-chain strategies, so that users who don't want to play with the DeFi applications but do want to earn a yield can effectively allow someone else to use those DeFi applications for them and get that yield.
Yeah, that's just smart, right? If I had my druthers, I would tell people learn DeFi, right? But there are going to be a certain portion of people who are not going to be doing that, and I think, quite honestly, that's going to be more institutions than retail, right? So, having both options available for institutions, having the XRP, for maybe some, people still want the death grip on their stuff on ledgers. There'll be an option for that as well, right? And so I think that's very, very, very smart. We're talking 190 billion to 200 billion market cap asset class. And it's going to be different folks in there doing different things. That's a lot of XRP holders, right? And so you gotta meet the customer, if you will, meet them where they are on their journey, right? Alex Sheet, what's going on, bro? Flare price had me tired. I hear you, man. Did you get to mint some FXRP, Alex Sheet? Did you get to mint some? Let's go back.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's key to spread this message that people that are already minting and participating in all of this take the next step forward and try to experience with the different apps. For myself, for instance, from the DevRel perspective, when you have an application, you go over like the flow, you make sure you can click everything, and then you can display uh, properly the balance, then check the explorers and whatnot. But right now, what I'm learning is going into this sort of deep journey as a user from very specific perspective, right? Like someone that has just XRP sitting on their Ledger wallet and nothing else. How does that person participate in our ecosystem? And it has been really, really interesting experience. And I think that, you know, we need more, of course, education. We need more content creators. We need more tutorials and whatnot. But at the end of the day, the best thing that you can do is just test the waters. So, moving forward into some data insights from the launch, what do the early numbers tell us?
Yeah, I can speak to that. So the early numbers are telling us that a lot of the FXRP is actually going like either into like the collateral pools for the specific agents, or they're generally being deposited into Kinetic. So we're seeing large demand on the borrow like the borrow lend side, and the agent collateral side. I do think eventually we'll get to this kind of state of where most of our retail users and institutions have onboarded their XRP, and people will look into the DeFi ecosystem or further and further into the DeFi ecosystem to build strategies to generate yield. So the early numbers tell us actually that a lot of the users have been surprisingly DeFi savvy, which I personally was not expecting people to immediately just follow on. Um, and that's been good to see. What I'm currently working on is a blog post slash a paper that outlines XRP yield and how I kind of think about it progressing on our chain in the specific protocols that will enable that, right? So there's ways that you can generate XRP yield from a non-yield bearing stable. DeFi itself doesn't exactly just generate yield for a non-yield bearing asset. There's like some things that you need to do, which is why we have Firelight, and we're also looking at these vaults as well, for curators to help put on positions and generate yield in risk minimized ways, right? And so that's what I'm working on. I think that Flare right now has all of the different pieces, but we really need to tell the story of how you can use those different pieces to generate yield on Flare on your XRP, um, which is nice because I think Flare is going to be one of the only ecosystems where the user can choose how they want to interact with the ecosystem, whether it
Hmm.
is a vault, whether it is going directly to the borrow lend and taking control of their XRP and their different positions and how they think about it, which is nice. I think it'll be a very unique ecosystem comparatively to all of the other XRP yield solutions that we're seeing.
Yeah, that's without question. All the other yield things that we're seeing, and they do bring up Doppler and Midas as well in this X space, as you guys know how I feel about those things. More markets, perhaps it's a little different, but I had a big time challenge with people just showing up to the XRP community all of a sudden out of nowhere and saying, "Come, bring us your XRP," right? And we don't know who they are. They haven't established any kind of relationship with the XRP holders at all. Just throwing this carrot around of yield and kind of playing on, um, the craving or the need to improve XRPL numbers, et cetera, whether it be TBL, whether it be transactions, whether it be any kind of metric, and kind of playing on that desperation, if you will, to achieve some substantial metrics. So they covered that there, but I do think having these different options available to us, like you get it, right? ETH holders have a lot of options, lots of options. Solana holders have a lot of options, a lot of different things that they can do with their Solana. And XRP holders have been missing that. Flare is bringing that to the holder, bringing it to the holder, right? It's important. Now, even with the smart accounts with Xamin, is that, that's going to help with some metrics, some transactions to the XRPL. So people who think those things are important will be able to share some of that. But, ultimately it is about the holder, the end user, in my view, and that's the XRP holder. I've been on record about Midas and MXRP. I do not think it is a great product for retail at all, in no way, shape, form, or fashion. And I think it's important that uh, uh, I think that there's a lot of people who agree with me, but they're not willing to speak up about it. So, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because this community has been through a lot. It's been through a ton of things. Um, and it's time to people kind of speak up. Right? I will tell you, I've been speaking up publicly, writing, commenting on anything from Axelar, and it's Axelar and some other people who may be commenting, and I have not got one correction, not one, not one. And you're definitely not going to hear from the actual issuer, which is Midas, right? Because they don't want to go on public record making a statement about something. um, unless they plan and organize it, and then they'll have a script. And I'm sure they're going to do a spaces. I have a nice little script of things that they feel they can say that's not going to get them in trouble with the regulators. It's going to happen anyway, in my opinion. In my opinion, it's coming anyway. But let's listen a little bit more here.
Yeah, that's a great point. And imagine how this is going to get in the future when we get other assets. We're going to talk about that probably within a few minutes. But it's really, it's really a new thing for me at least. And then I think you already touched upon this a little bit, which is how is FXRP being used since the launch, but strictly talking from the data point of view. Do we have any numbers or any specific behaviors that you would like to highlight?
Yeah, so I can first talk about the minting. So the first session we did 5 million XRP. We did not notify anyone. We dropped it within 4 hours. We minted out. That was 5 million XRP. We then realized that people in Asia did not get any access. So we said we're going to open up the next 5 million in 2.5 increments. So 2.5 for Asia, 2.5 for US. What we saw is that both of those sessions minted out in just about under 90 minutes. I think the Asia session went in like 75 minutes, right? So it was extremely fast, and we're seeing a lot of demand. Um, Today's session that we opened up for Asia, 5 million XRP, minted out in just about 3 hours. So just about the same pace as we saw in the other minting sessions. So that's been the data that I've been mostly focused on. And then obviously I've mentioned Kinetic. It's seen an inflow of about 7 million-ish XRP. And people are already starting to borrow stables against it, go acquire more XRP, or go run some type of other trades with their stables. And you're seeing a pretty natural flow of people just filtering into the ecosystem. Centaura recently posted a chart today that I'll see if I can share to this this space here. I'm pretty sure I just linked it up here. That Flair's TVL is growing decently fast from this inflow of FXRP. I think we're about up 28% just off the FXRP minting, and I genuinely think that we'll continue to see this grow as more and more sophisticated players come online.
Yeah, and that was 2 days ago, so it'll be more now. Um, and then the question for this week is who will win, Asia or the US?
Yeah, we'll see. If you keep launching stuff at 3 o'clock in the morning, I don't know how we gonna. I don't know if we're sleeping 3 or 4 in the morning. And I think this last one was 3 million. I'm like, what the world? So, but in any case, he has some really good stuff there. But Thanos have this up here. I thought that was just unique, awesome as well. Over 2,200 unique address holdings. 2,200 holding 15 million FXRP. It's good numbers. It's been a long time coming. Gradually, then suddenly. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a really, really good start. Absolute win in my view for the XRP holder. I'm gonna hop off here, but guys, make sure. Let me see something. I'm gonna do something here real quick. Yeah, let's do this. So you guys will have it in the chat. Thank you, Yosef. I appreciate that. What's going on, Zed? Hey, man, just want to say thank you. Oh, you're welcome, Zed. You're welcome, bro. I appreciate that. Thanks for checking in, my guy. Yeah, and they're gonna do a gradual thing, legendary. Did you get a chance to mint yet, bro? Did you get a chance to mint? I did mint the one time. I know they're trying to accommodate all the regions. This is why they're doing that 3 o'clock in the morning thing for the Asia community. We'll see what this. They said within 24 hours, so I don't know what time that's going to be tomorrow. Is it going to be 3, 4, 5 in the morning? Is it going to be 8 in the morning? I don't know. I don't know. Oh, you did? Okay, cool, cool, nice. You got 3,000. Nice. George Madison says, "How crypto siege? How do I go about becoming part of your Flare Patreon?" It's patreon.com/ GWW Mastermind. Patreon.com/ GWW Mastermind, which stands for Generational Wealth Wednesday Mastermind. So GWW Mastermind. Come hang out with us there, bro. All right, fam. I'm gonna hop off here. I appreciate you guys. I just did a couple interesting videos on Flare DeFi in there the last few days. For sure, educating the community on our FLR reward, what it is and what it is not. It's important that you know that, my friends. It's important that you know that. Nicholas M., you're welcome, my friend. Why is that the Flare network price per coin is not increasing? I think it has something to do primarily with the Flare drops. Alex Sheet, I think that's primarily the reason. That's going to end in January, but I think that's the primary reason. Yo says, okay, I needed that information also. Okay, awesome. I just got here. I'm going to start the video from scratch. Thank you so much for taking your time to reach. You're welcome, Zed. Appreciate you checking in for sure. All right, fam. I'm going to hop off here. I appreciate you guys. As always, if you didn't get a chance to hit that like button on the way in, no worries. Just hit the like button on the way out. That'd be awesome if you could do that. That would be super, super cool if you could do that. It helps to get the channel out to more people who don't know that a new financial system is being built right underneath their nose. There's a lot of financial planners, financial advisors, quote unquote, who don't understand that there's a new digital asset system or financial system being built right now, right underneath their nose. They're still stuck on old TradFi stuff that, quite frankly, is not going to be relevant in just a matter of 3, 4, 5 years. It's unbelievable. It is absolutely unbelievable. But hitting the like button helps to get the channel out to more people. And I appreciate you guys doing it for sure. And if you happen to be in that 55% or so of people that are hanging out, listening to and watching the Crypto Siege, do me a favor. If you've been enjoying those hangouts, please consider subscribing to the channel. And don't forget to ring that notification bell, baby, so that you know whenever we go live or whenever we upload a video. I'm going to end this one like I do all my videos and remind you guys of this. Old money doesn't want you to win. But that's okay, though, because you and I, we're already winning. And I would ask you to consider this or perhaps ponder the idea or notion of living your life permissionless. I'll talk to you guys soon. See ya.